Hi Stampers, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Today we're going to do the Northern Lights technique, and warning ahead of time, we're going to get our fingers really dirty because we have a lot of sponging to do. This is the card that I made. I used multiple colors for the background, and then I sponged Night of Navy and Basic Black through most of it to make it look like Northern Lights. So I'm going to show you all the ink colors I'm using today, and then I'm going to stop my video and add a slide in there for you so you'll have a listing. And you can actually pause the video and write down what you need or take a screen print. So let me show you all the colors that you'll need today. We're going to start sponging by adding Tangelo Twist, Perfect Plum, Tempting Turquoise, Wild Wasabi, and Strawberry Slush. The next set of inks I'm going to show you is what we sponge over the brighter colors. We're going to be using Night of Navy, Basic Gray, Basic Black, and to finish off our card, we're going to be using Whisper White for the sentiment. So let's get started with our cardstock layers. You're going to need Wild Wasabi, 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, scored in the center at 4.25 inches. You'll need 2 pieces of Whisper White, one that measures 5.25 by 4, and a second one that measures 5 by 3.75. You will need sponge daubers for each color. You're also going to need a white Signo gel pen, white embossing powder, and the embossing buddy. And for stamp sets today, I'm using the tree image from Lovely as a Tree, and I'm using the sentiment from Painted Petals, which can be found in the Occasions 2015 catalog. So now we're going to bring in the smaller of the 2 Whisper White pieces, and we're going to be begin sponging our brighter colors. Now I'm going to start out with a Perfect Plum color, and if you'll notice on my card, I kind of added my colors so they're sitting at an angle this way. So I'm going to do the same for this one. So I'm going to start on the end and work my way in. And we're going to move over to the Strawberry Slush color. What's funny about this too is you end up covering most of this color with the black. We're going to bring in Tangelo Twist. And this is just my way of doing this. You can have your spots or your streaks of color going in any direction that you want. Next, I'm going to bring in the Tempting Turquoise. And I kind of overlap some of them and try to make some streaks going through. And lastly, we're going to do the Wild Wasabi. Again, I'm going to blend some of it with the Tempting Turquoise. Okay, so we have our 5 colors. Now we're going to bring in the Night of Navy. And for my darker background colors, I'm actually using the stamping sponges, which I've cut in 4 and made 4 pieces for 4 different colors. And then I've just attached a cardstock piece to the top so I know what color I'm using. So I'm going to start with the Night of Navy. And I'm going to start way in the corner and darken that up, and then work my way diagonally. And I'm even going to try to drag some of that color down just to have, I'll show you if you can see some of the streaks that are happening here while I'm dragging down very lightly. And I'm going to do the same thing in this corner, but keeping with the diagonal lines that I've got going on. And again, I've got all the edges colored. Now I'm going to start dragging very lightly. And we'll do a little bit on the side. And it's starting to take shape. It just takes a lot of sponging, hard pressure on the edges and corners, and then lighter as you try to drag some of that color across. So I'm really happy with the way that looks. I'm going to put the Night of Navy aside and bring in the basic black. And all I'm going to do with the basic black is the corner and a little bit on the side. I'm not going to drag that one down too much. We're trying to create the nightfall illusion. So you can see where the Night of Navy and the black kind of meld together. And now what I did with my other card, you'll notice that I have like a little mountain scene going on right here. And what I did is I tore a cardstock piece, and all I did was tear this way and kind of shaped it as I tore. And I'm going to use it as a stencil. So I'm going to lay this about there. And I'm going to bring in my basic gray first. And I'm going to color the whole bottom below my stencil. It's amazing that this piece started out white, isn't it? Okay, so I've got the gray all colored in. Now I'm going to bring the black back in, and I'm only going to do on the edge of where my stencil starts, just to give it some definition. And I'll bring it down to the corner a little bit on each side. Okay, so you can see where I left some of the gray, and then the black is pretty much on the edge around the stencil, back down around the edge. So look what happens when I pull this off. Magic. You now have a mountain. And all we have left to do is to stamp the trees, and I like to use Memento black ink for anything that has fine detail. So that's what I'm going to use for my trees, is the Memento Tuxedo Black. I'm going to ink up my trees, and because this is a large stamp, I'm inking it upside down. Push, and there's some of my trees. And now I'm going to stamp again, but before I stamp on my cardstock, I'm actually going to stamp on my scrap to remove some of the ink. And it's just very light in the background. I'm going to do that one more time. Just a little bit on this side. Okay, and that's what my background looks like. Now I'm going to bring in my white Signo gel pen, and I'm just going to add little dots to resemble stars. And I'm just going in a circular motion. I'm kind of going by my other one to make it quick. And that's all that needs for stars. And then all we have left now is the sentiment. And let me flip my paper over so it's not so dirty. It's still going to be dirty, but not as bad. I'm going to bring in my embossing buddy and just rub that across. This alleviates static. And I'm going to ink my sentiment with Whisper White ink. Stamp that in place. And bring in my white embossing powder. And I'm going to go use my heat tool to heat that up, and we'll finish our card. Now I'm going to bring in my cardstock pieces, fold the wasabi down with the bone folder, and we're going to glue the Whisper White layer. And of course this one's Whisper White also, but now it's all colored with our different ink colors and our sponging. Oops, it's a little crooked. And there's our card, and they look pretty much the same. But like I said, you can do whatever kind of pattern you want with your bright colors. And you can decide on the direction you want. You can go this way instead, or up and down. And I also wanted to show you another tip that I use when I was talking about my stamping sponges. I keep all my blues in one clear case, my neutrals, my pinks. I have several clear cases that I keep all my sponges in. Very good storage. These are the thicker of our clear cases. And that's it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or leave a message on my YouTube video. Thanks so much for stopping by.